I fell asleep in the library. When I woke up, the entire school was empty. Except for her. Emma Whitmore was sitting across from me, resting her chin on her hand, quietly reading a book under the dim library lights. For a few seconds, I thought I was dreaming. Then I looked at the clock. 11:47 p.m. My eyes widened. Wait, Emma looked up. You're awake. I immediately sat up. Why are you still here? She closed her book. Because you were asleep. That doesn't explain anything. She glanced toward the empty library. It explains everything. I stared at her. Emma, students aren't even allowed to stay this late. I know. You missed curfew. Yes. Because of me? She looked at me like the answer was obvious. Yes. My name is Noah Parker. At Fairmont Academy, I was the kind of person most people knew but rarely noticed. I wasn't unpopular. I had friends. I played guitar in the school music club and helped teachers organize events. But I wasn't someone people talked about. That title belonged to Emma Whitmore. Everyone knew Emma. She was the school beauty. The girl who won academic awards, led volunteer projects, and somehow looked perfect even during early morning classes. Guys wrote her letters. Girls asked for her advice. Teachers trusted her. But nobody was close to her. People admired Emma. They didn't know her. Except somehow she always found me. I first met Emma in the library 6 months ago. I was fixing a broken printer before an important school event. Everyone else had already left. Emma walked in carrying a stack of papers. You're still here? I looked up. Apparently. She smiled. You always stay until things are finished? I shrugged. Someone has to. That was all. A simple conversation. But after that day, Emma started appearing around me. She sat near me during study periods. She asked for my opinion on books. She brought me coffee when I stayed late working. I thought she was just being kind. Because girls like Emma didn't notice guys like me. At least, that was what I believed. That night, the library was supposed to close at 10. I only planned to finish organizing the music club's files. Then I made the mistake of sitting down for 5 minutes. Apparently, my body decided 5 minutes meant 3 hours. When I opened my eyes, Emma was still there. You could have left, I said. She shook her head. You look tired. I was sleeping. Exactly. That's your reason? Yes. I laughed softly. You stayed in an empty library for almost 2 hours because I was sleeping? Emma looked away. You make it sound strange. It is strange. Maybe. She picked up her book again. But I didn't want you waking up alone. That sentence caught me off guard. Because Emma Whitmore was surrounded by people every day. She never walked alone. She always had someone asking for her attention. Yet she stayed in a dark library at midnight just because she didn't want me to be alone. Emma. Why are you always so nice to me? She looked at me. For a moment, her confident expression disappeared. I don't know. That answer surprised me. Emma always knew what to say. But this time, she seemed nervous. Then she smiled. Maybe because you're the only person who never treats me like I'm someone special. I frowned. But you are special. Yes. She nodded. Everyone knows that. A pause. But you talk to me like I'm just Emma. I didn't know how important that was to her. Not until later. Because everyone wanted the school beauty. The perfect student. The girl who seemed to have everything. But nobody asked if she was tired. Nobody noticed when she stayed late studying. Nobody cared when she needed someone too. Except me. At least, that was what she said. When we finally left the library, the hallway lights were already turned off. The school felt completely different at night. Quiet. Almost peaceful. Emma walked beside me. You should sleep more. I smiled. You sound like my mom. She's probably right. You're agreeing with my mom? Yes. That's dangerous. She laughed. A real laugh. Not the polite smile she gave everyone else. The sound surprised me. Because I realized something. The girl everyone thought was impossible to approach was actually just waiting for someone to see her. At the school entrance, we stopped. I'll walk you home, I said. Emma shook her head. No, why? Because you need sleep. You stayed up until midnight for me. Yes. Then let me walk you home. She looked at me for a moment, then smiled. Next time. Next time? Yes. She stepped outside, then turned back. Noah. Yeah? Don't fall asleep alone in the library again. I smiled. Why? Her answer was quiet. Because I might not be there next time. Then she walked away. And for some reason that sentence stayed in my mind all night. Because it sounded less like a warning, and more like she was afraid of not being needed. After that night in the library, I started noticing things I had ignored before. Not because Emma changed, because I finally started paying attention. The school beauty everyone admired wasn't just the girl who walked through the hallway surrounded by people. She was the girl who quietly picked up someone's dropped papers when nobody was watching. The girl who stayed after club meetings to clean up. The girl who remembered the names of students most people forgot. And somehow she always remembered mine. On Monday morning, I arrived at school earlier than usual. I told myself it was because I wanted to finish a music club assignment. That was only partly true. The other reason was Emma. I wanted to know if things would feel different after that night. When I entered the library, I found her sitting by the window, the same table where we had studied together many times. She looked up immediately and smiled. "Good morning, Noah." I stopped. "You remembered I come here before class?" She looked confused. "Of course. Why?" She tilted her head. "Why wouldn't I?" That answer caught me off guard. Because for Emma, remembering things seemed natural. For me, it felt impossible. She moved her backpack from the chair beside her. "Sit." I looked at the empty chair. "Is this reserved?" Emma nodded. "For you." I laughed. "You're joking." "No, you saved a seat?" "Yes." "Every day?" She looked away. "Maybe." I smiled. Emma Whitmore, the school beauty, is saving library seats? She closed her book. "Don't make it sound embarrassing." "It is a little." She gave me a serious look. "Then don't tell anyone." I laughed. "You're worried people will know?" "No, then why?" She lowered her voice. "Because I like this place when it's just us." That sentence stayed with me. Because Emma could sit anywhere. The front table where student leaders gathered. The places where everyone wanted her attention. But she chose this corner. A quiet table. A quiet seat. Beside me. Later that day, our English teacher announced a partner project. Everyone immediately started moving. Emma had dozens of people who would happily work with her. Before I could even look around, she turned toward me. "Noah." I already knew. "Partners?" She smiled. "Partners." You didn't even think about it. Know why? Because I already knew my choice. I tried not to smile. "You make it sound like a major decision." It is. It's an English project. It's still important. After class, we worked together in the library. Again. Apparently, the library had become our place. Emma organized the research while I designed the presentation. We worked easily together. No awkward silence. No pretending. Just us. "You know something?" Emma said suddenly. "What?" "You're different when you're working." "How?" "You stop worrying about what people think." I looked at her. "You noticed?" "I notice a lot about you." I smiled. "That sounds slightly scary." "It should." "Why?" "Because I know when you skip lunch." I froze. "What?" "And when you stay late after music club." "How do you know that?" Emma looked back at her notebook. "I just do." That answer should have been simple. But it wasn't. Because people didn't accidentally notice someone this much. Not someone like Emma. After school, I went to the music room to practice. When I opened the door, I found Emma sitting inside. I stopped. "What are you doing here?" She looked up from her phone. "Waiting." "For who?" She stared at me, then smiled. "You." I looked around. "Why?" "You forgot your notebook." She held it up. I immediately recognized it. I had left it in the library. "You came all the way here just to bring this?" "Yes." "Emma." "What?" "You're busy." "I know." "You have student council." "Yes." "You have homework." "Yes." "Then why?" She looked at me. And for a moment, the confident Emma disappeared. "Because I knew you would need it." I didn't know what to say. So I played the only song I had been practicing. When I finished, the room was quiet. Emma looked at me. "You're really good." "I'm okay." "No," she shook her head. "You always do that." "Do what?" "Make yourself smaller." I looked away. "I'm not." "Yes, you are." Her voice was gentle. "Everyone sees your talent except you." That evening, Emma walked with me toward the school gate. Before we separated, she suddenly said, "Noah." "Yeah?" "Do you remember what happened after the library closed?" I smiled. "You stayed with me until midnight." "No," she shook her head. "I mean before that." I thought about it. Then I remembered. I had fallen asleep at the table. Before that, I had told her I was worried about not being good enough for the music competition. "You remember that?" "Yes." "I was just complaining." "No," she looked at me. "You were being honest." A pause. "And I like that." I stared at her. Emma. Yes? Why do you care so much? For a second, she didn't answer. Then she smiled softly. Maybe I've been waiting for you to ask. Before I could respond, her phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her expression changed. Not fear. More like disappointment. I have to go. Everything okay? Yes. But she didn't sound convincing. She walked away. Then stopped. Noah. Yeah? Don't forget. What? She pointed toward the library. Tomorrow. I smiled. The seat? She nodded. The seat. That night, I received a message from Emma. Emma, thank you for staying with me today. I looked at the screen. Me, I should be thanking you. You're the one who waited for me in the library. A few seconds later, Emma, that wasn't a favor. I stared. Then another message appeared. Emma, I wanted to. I smiled. But before I could reply, another message arrived. Emma, also don't tell anyone. Me, about the seat? Emma, about everything. I frowned. Me, why? This time, she took longer to answer. Finally, Emma, because everyone thinks they know me. Emma, I don't want them to know this part yet. I looked at the message for a long time. Because suddenly, I realized something. Emma Whitmore wasn't hiding me from the school. She was protecting something much more important. The version of herself that only I got to see. After Emma told me not to tell anyone about us, I thought she wanted to keep her distance at school. I was wrong. She wanted to keep something private. There was a difference. Because the next morning, when I walked into the library, Emma was already sitting in our usual place. And she had brought me coffee. Again. I looked at the cup. You know this is becoming a habit. Emma looked up from her book. What is? Taking care of me. She paused. Then calmly said, maybe I like the habit. I almost dropped the coffee. Emma Whitmore was not supposed to say things like that. Not to me. Not so casually. Did you sleep well? She asked the question while highlighting notes. I laughed. Is that your first question every morning now? Yes. Why? Because you stay up too late. That happened twice. 4 times. I stared. You counted? Emma looked away. Maybe. I smiled. The strange thing was I was starting to understand her. Emma didn't show affection with huge gestures. She did it through small things. Remembering my schedule. Saving my seat. Bringing coffee. Waiting for me. Things most people would miss. But I didn't anymore. At lunch, something unexpected happened. Emma walked into the cafeteria. Everyone noticed. They always did. She was the kind of person who changed the atmosphere of a room without trying. But instead of walking toward the student council table, she came toward me. My friend Lucas immediately sat up. No way. I looked at him. What? He pointed. Emma Whitmore is coming here. I can see that. No, you don't understand. She's just walking. She never walks here. I looked around. He was right. The entire cafeteria was watching. Emma stopped beside my table. Is this seat taken? Lucas looked at the empty chair. Then at me. Then back at Emma. I think Noah's brain stopped working. Emma ignored him. She looked at me. Can I sit? I nodded. Of course. She smiled and sat down. And suddenly, the loudest place in school felt completely quiet. You realize everyone is staring, I whispered. Emma opened her lunch. Yes. You're okay with that? She looked confused. Why wouldn't I be? Because people talk. They always talk. That doesn't bother you? Emma looked at me. No, then she lowered her voice. Not when I'm doing something I want. My heart skipped. Because she didn't say, something that looks good. She said, something I want. After lunch, a group of girls from the debate team approached us. One of them smiled at Emma. Emma, are you coming to the meeting after school? Yes. Then she looked at me. And Noah is helping. I blinked. I am? Emma nodded. You are. Since when? Since now. I laughed. You're making decisions for me? Yes. That's dangerous. She smiled. You'll survive. After school, I followed Emma to the debate room. I expected a serious meeting. Instead, I saw a completely different side of her. She wasn't the perfect leader everyone imagined. She was funny. She made jokes. She forgot where she put her notes. She even asked me for help organizing the schedule. You're enjoying this, I said. What? Watching me realize you're actually normal. Emma looked offended. I'm offended. Why? Because I'm not normal. I laughed. You're right. She smiled. I'm better. Later, When everyone left, we stayed behind to clean up. Emma picked up a stack of papers. You don't have to help. I know. Then why are you? I shrugged. Because you're helping. She stopped. What? You always help everyone else. I took the papers from her. Someone should help you too. For a moment, Emma didn't move. Then she quietly said, Noah. Yeah? Do you know how rare that is? What? Someone noticing I need help. That evening, we sat outside the school. The sun was setting behind the football field. Emma looked different in the quiet. Less like the school beauty. More like a girl who was tired of pretending everything was easy. Can I ask you something? I nodded. Why don't you ever try to impress people? I laughed. Because I don't think I can. That's not what I mean. She looked at me. Most people change around me. Why? Because they want me to like them. And I don't? No, she smiled. You never did. I looked at her. Is that good? Yes. Why? Because I don't want someone who likes Emma Whitmore. She paused. I want someone who likes me. I didn't know how to answer. Because I suddenly realized something. Emma wasn't searching for attention. She had enough attention. She was searching for something real. And somehow she thought she found it in me. The next day, something happened that I didn't expect. A guy named Carter Reed stopped me after class. He was one of the most popular students at school. Football captain. Student council member. Everyone knew him. He looked serious. Can we talk? Sure. He crossed his arms. You and Emma. I immediately understood. What about us? He looked at me. Are you serious about her? The question surprised me. I don't know. Then figure it out. I frowned. What does that mean? Carter looked toward the hallway where Emma was standing. She doesn't let people get close. A pause. But she let you. I stayed silent. Then he said, don't be the guy who makes her regret that. After he left, Emma walked over. What did Carter want? Nothing. She looked at me. You're lying. I smiled. You really do notice everything. Yes. She studied my face. What did he say? I hesitated, then answered honestly. He said you don't let people get close. Emma became quiet. That's true. Why? She looked at me. Because most people leave when they see the real me. The hallway was empty. Her voice became softer. But you stayed. That night, Emma sent me a message. Emma, are you scared? I looked at the screen. Me, of what? A few seconds later, Emma, of getting close to me. I thought about it, then replied, me, maybe. Her answer came quickly. Emma, me too. I stared at those words. Because the girl everyone wanted, the girl everyone thought had no fears, was scared of the same thing I was. Losing something that mattered. After that conversation with Emma, I thought everything would become easier. I was wrong. Sometimes, when someone finally gets close to you, fear becomes stronger. Because before, I only had something to hope for. Now I had something to lose. For the next few weeks, Emma and I became closer. Not officially. We never announced anything. We never told the school. But everyone could see something had changed. Emma waited for me after class. I helped her prepare for debate competitions. She sat beside me in the library. I saved her a seat on the bus sometimes. And every time she smiled at me, I felt like I was living a life that belonged to someone else. A girl like Emma Whitmore choosing me didn't feel real. That was the problem. One Friday afternoon, Emma had a major debate competition. The entire school was excited. She was representing Fairmont Academy against 3 other schools. Everyone expected her to win. Of course they did. Emma always won. Before she went on stage, she found me in the hallway. You came. I smiled. You asked me to. I wasn't sure you would. I frowned. Why? She looked down. Because everyone else comes to watch me win. A pause. But you're the only person I want there when I'm nervous. That sentence stayed with me. Because Emma Whitmore was telling me something she never told anyone else. She was afraid. The competition lasted 3 hours. Emma won. Everyone cheered. Students surrounded her. Teachers congratulated her. Cameras took pictures. She stood in the middle of everything. The perfect girl. The girl everyone admired. But when she looked through the crowd, she wasn't looking for applause. She was looking for me. That night, we walked home together. You were amazing, I said. Emma smiled. Thank you. You knew you would win. No, I looked at her. You didn't? She shook her head. I was terrified. You didn't look terrified. She laughed softly. That's because I'm good at pretending. That answer surprised me. Emma. Yes? Do you ever stop pretending? She looked at me, then quietly said, when I'm with you. My heart moved faster. But instead of feeling happy, I felt nervous. Because I suddenly realized how much she trusted me. And I wondered if I deserved it. The problem started the following week. College applications. Everyone at school was talking about the future. Where they would go. What they would become. Emma was applying to several top universities across the country. I knew she would get accepted. Everyone knew. Her future was bright. Mine was less certain. I wanted to study music production. Not a famous career. Not something impressive. Just something I loved. And for the first time, I wondered if our worlds were too different. One afternoon, I overheard two students talking. Emma and Noah? They laughed. I don't understand it. Me neither. She could date anyone. Exactly. He's nice, but he's not really her level. I kept walking. I told myself I didn't care. But the words stayed. Not because they were true. Because they sounded like something I had secretly believed myself. The next day, I started pulling away. Not obviously. Just little things. I stopped waiting after class. I sat at another table during lunch. I told her I was busy when she asked to study together. Emma noticed immediately. Of course she did. She found me after school. What's wrong? Nothing. Noah. I'm just busy. She looked at me. You're avoiding me. I'm not. You are. I stayed silent. Then she asked, did I do something? That question hurt. Because Emma thought she was the problem. She always did. No, then why are you leaving? I'm not leaving. You are. Her voice became quieter. You're just doing it slowly. I looked away. Because she was right. Again. Emma, what? I wanted to tell her everything. That I was scared. That I felt like I didn't belong beside her. That I worried one day she would realize she could do better. But I couldn't say those words. Because saying them made them real. So I chose the easier answer. I think we should focus on our futures. Emma froze. Our futures? Yes. You mean separately? I didn't answer. That was enough. For the first time, I saw Emma lose her confidence. The girl who could stand in front of hundreds of people without fear looked completely lost. So that's it? No, then what is it? I swallowed. I just think maybe you deserve someone who fits your life better. Silence. Then Emma said something I never expected. You don't get to decide that for me. I looked at her. Her eyes were different. Not angry. Hurt. I spent months trying to show you that you matter. A pause. And you still think you're the only one who gets to choose? I didn't know how to respond. Because she was right. I was so afraid of being left behind that I was the one walking away first. Emma took a step back. Fine. That word scared me more than anger. Emma, Noah. She looked at me. If you really believe I chose you by mistake, her voice became softer. Then maybe I haven't done enough to prove you wrong. Then she turned and walked away. That night, I sat alone in the library. The same place where everything started. The same place where Emma stayed beside me until midnight. My phone lit up. A message from her. I expected anger. Instead, it said, Emma, I won't force you to stay. I stared at the screen. Then another message appeared. Emma, but I hope someday you understand. A pause. Emma, I never saw you as someone who was lucky to have me. Emma, I always felt lucky that I found you. I read those words again and again. But the next morning Emma's seat beside me on the bus was empty. For the first time in months. She wasn't waiting for me. For the first time in months, I sat alone on the bus. The seat beside me was empty. And somehow, that small empty space felt bigger than the entire bus. I kept looking at it. The place where Emma used to sit every morning. The place where she handed me coffee. The place where she laughed at my terrible jokes. The place where the school's most admired girl chose to spend her time. Because she wanted to. Not because she had to. I told myself I had made the right decision. Emma had a future waiting for her. Top universities. Amazing opportunities. A life surrounded by people who matched her. I was just Noah Parker. A guy who loved music. A guy who fixed broken things. A guy who was always behind the scenes. Maybe I wasn't losing Emma. Maybe I was finally accepting reality. At least, that was what I tried to believe. But reality became painful very quickly. Because Emma wasn't just someone I liked. She had become part of my everyday life. Without realizing it, I had built my routine around her. I checked my phone expecting her messages. I looked toward the library window expecting to see her. I saved a seat without thinking. Then I remembered. She wasn't coming. At school, everyone noticed. Of course they did. Emma Whitmore was impossible to ignore. And when Emma stopped walking beside someone, people noticed. My friend Lucas found me during lunch. You two fought. I looked up. Who told you? Nobody. Then how do you know? He pointed across the cafeteria. Emma was sitting with the debate team, surrounded by people, smiling, laughing, looking completely fine. But Lucas shook his head. She's pretending. I frowned. How do you know? Because I've known Emma for 3 years. He looked at me seriously. She only smiles like that when she wants people to stop asking questions. I looked at her. For a moment, our eyes met. Emma immediately looked away. And somehow, that hurt more than if she had been angry. Because Emma always looked at me. Until now. After school, I went to the library. I didn't know why. Maybe because that was where everything started. Maybe because some part of me hoped she would be there. She wasn't. The table near the window was empty. The chair across from me was empty. Everything looked exactly the same. Except her. I sat down and opened my notebook. Inside was a small note. I froze. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Emma. I opened it. Only one sentence was written. Don't forget to eat dinner tonight. I stared at the note. She had written it days ago. Before we stopped talking. Before I pushed her away. She had still been thinking about me. The next day, something unexpected happened. Our English teacher announced the school's annual arts showcase. Every student in the music club had to perform. Normally, I would have been excited. But now I wasn't sure. The performance required a partner for one part of the show. And everyone already had someone. Except me. I stayed after class, looking at the empty sign-up sheet. Then someone picked up the pen beside me. I looked up. Emma. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then she wrote something. Noah Parker guitar performance. I stared. Emma. She put the pen down. Yes? You signed my name. Yes. You can't just do that. I know. Then why? She looked at me. Because you were going to quit. I froze. How did you know? She gave me a familiar look. The look that said she noticed everything. You always quit before you fail. That's not true. It is. She pointed at the paper. You almost gave up on the competition last year. I was silent. Because she remembered. Of course she remembered. Emma, yes? Why are you still helping me? Her expression changed. For a moment, she looked hurt. Because I still care about you. The honesty of that answer surprised me. You said you wouldn't force me to stay. I won't. Then why? She looked at the sign-up sheet. Because caring about someone doesn't disappear just because they're scared. I didn't know what to say. Emma had every reason to be angry. She could have ignored me. She could have moved on. Instead, she was still standing there. Still choosing kindness. The day of the showcase arrived. I was nervous. More nervous than any performance before. Not because of the audience. Because Emma would be watching. Before we went on stage, she found me backstage. You're nervous. I smiled. You noticed? Yes. Of course. She handed me a small piece of paper. What's this? Open it later. Why? Because if I tell you now, you'll overthink it. I laughed. You know me too well. Yes. Then she stepped back. Noah. Yeah? Play the way you always do. How? When you forget everyone is watching. The performance went better than I expected. The moment I started playing, everything disappeared. The crowd. The lights. The pressure. All I saw was Emma. Standing near the stage. Smiling. Not the smile she gave everyone. The one she gave me. After the performance, I opened the note. Inside were only a few words. See? Everyone was already listening. You just never believed you had something worth hearing. I held the note tightly. Because suddenly, I understood. Emma never wanted me to become someone worthy of her. She already believed I was. I was the one who kept trying to convince myself otherwise. That evening, I found Emma outside the school. Emma. She turned. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I said, I'm sorry. She looked at me quietly. For what? For thinking you chose me because you didn't know better. Her expression softened. I was never confused about choosing you. I know. I took a breath. I was confused about why someone like you would choose someone like me. Emma stepped closer. Then maybe you should stop deciding what I'm allowed to want. I smiled slightly. That sounds like something you would say. It is. For the first time in days we both laughed. But before we could say anything else, Emma's phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her smile disappeared. What happened? She didn't answer immediately. Then she looked at me. Noah, what? My parents found out about us. I froze. And? Emma looked worried. They want to meet you. When Emma said her parents wanted to meet me, my first reaction was panic. Not because I had done anything wrong, but because I knew what kind of people they were. Emma Whitmore wasn't just the most admired girl at Fairmont Academy. She came from one of the most respected families in the city. Her father was a successful architect. Her mother was a university professor. They were intelligent, accomplished, and used to being around people who had impressive futures. And then there was me, Noah Parker, the guy who spent weekends repairing old guitars and recording songs in his bedroom. The guy who still wasn't sure what college he would attend. The guy who somehow became important to their daughter. You're nervous. Emma's voice pulled me back. We were sitting outside the school after everyone left. I looked at her. Is it that obvious? Yes. How? She smiled. You're tapping your fingers. I immediately stopped. She laughed softly. See? You really notice everything. I told you. That's a little unfair. Why? Because I can't hide anything from you. Emma looked at me. You don't need to. That answer made me quiet. Because with Emma, everything sounded simple. Like the things I worried about weren't as impossible as they felt. The next Saturday, I went to Emma's house. Or more accurately, her family's house. I stood outside the entrance for almost a minute before knocking. The place was beautiful. Large windows. A huge garden. A driveway bigger than the street where I lived. I suddenly felt like I didn't belong. Then the door opened. And Emma was standing there. Not in her school uniform. Not as the school beauty. Just Emma. Wearing a simple sweater and jeans. And somehow, that made me even more nervous. You came. I smiled. You invited me. I know. Then why are you surprised? Because I know you. I frowned. What does that mean? She smiled. It means I knew you would spend 20 minutes outside wondering if you should leave. I looked away. Was it that obvious? Yes. Before I could answer, Emma's mother appeared. Emma. Then she looked at me. You must be Noah. I stood straight. Yes, ma'am. She smiled. Relax. We're not interviewing you. I laughed awkwardly. That's exactly what someone says before an interview. Emma covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Her mother smiled. I can see why she likes you. I froze. Emma immediately looked embarrassed. Mom. What? You don't have to say that. Her mother looked at me. She talks about you often. Emma became even more embarrassed. I do not. You do. I don't. You absolutely do. I looked at Emma. She avoided my eyes. And somehow, seeing the school beauty embarrassed for once made me feel better. Dinner started normally. Her parents asked about my hobbies, my goals, my family. At first, I expected judgment, but they were surprisingly kind. Until Emma's father asked, So, Noah. I looked up. Yes? What do you want your future to look like? I knew this question was important. Not because he was testing me, because he wanted to know. I want to create music. Her father nodded. Professionally? Yes. There was a short silence. Then he asked, Do you know how difficult that path is? Yes. And you still want it? Yes. Why? I thought for a moment, then answered honestly. Because I don't want to spend my life becoming someone else just because it's easier. The table became quiet. I looked at Emma. She was smiling. Not because I gave the perfect answer. Because I gave the honest one. Her father leaned back. I understand. That surprised me. You do? He nodded. When I was young, everyone told me architecture was too risky. He smiled slightly. But I ignored them. Emma looked at him. Dad. What? You never told me that. Because you never asked. Emma laughed. After dinner, Emma and I walked outside. The night was quiet. You survived. I smiled. Barely. She laughed. My parents like you. I think your father was trying to scare me. He was. That's comforting. He does that with everyone. I looked at her. Why? Because he wants to know if people are serious. And? Emma smiled. You passed. We walked through the garden. Then Emma suddenly stopped. Noah. Yeah? I owe you an apology. For what? She looked down. For making you think you weren't enough. I was confused. You didn't. I did. She looked at me. Every time I chose you, you wondered why. A pause. Every time I stayed, you thought there was a reason I would leave. I didn't answer. Because she was right. Emma stepped closer. I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. The words were quiet, but they hit me harder than anything else. How do you see me? She smiled. Someone who notices when other people are lonely. Someone who helps without expecting anything. Someone who makes me feel normal. I looked at her. Emma. Yes? Why me? She smiled. Because everyone else wants the school beauty. A pause. I wanted someone who saw the girl behind her. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Emma's phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her expression changed. Again. What happened? She hesitated, then handed me the phone. It was a message from the school. Fairmont Academy's Spring Festival Committee announcement. Emma Whitmore and Noah Parker have been selected as the official opening performance partners. I looked at her. That's good, right? Emma didn't answer. Emma? She looked worried. Carter is also participating. I frowned. Carter? She nodded. The person who challenged you before. I remembered. The football captain. The popular guy who warned me not to hurt Emma. What about him? Emma looked at the message. He requested to change the performance arrangements. Why? She was silent, then said, because he wants everyone at school to know something. What? Emma looked at me. He thinks you're not the right person for me. I stared at the screen. For the first time since I met Emma, someone wasn't just questioning my place beside her. They were trying to take it away. After seeing that message, I expected Emma to be upset. I expected her to be angry at Carter. I expected her to worry about what people at school would say. But what surprised me was her reaction. She wasn't worried about herself. She was worried about me. Noah. I looked at her. Yeah? Don't listen to him. I smiled slightly. That's your advice? Yes. That's it? Emma nodded. Yes. I laughed. You make everything sound simple. She looked at me seriously. Because it is. What is? Someone else's opinion doesn't decide your value. The next Monday, everyone was talking about the Spring Festival performance. And everyone knew about Carter. Carter Reed was the kind of person people expected Emma to choose. He was popular, confident, successful. He was the captain of the football team and one of the most recognized students in Fairmont Academy. Nobody would have questioned them together. They looked perfect. That was probably why so many people were confused about me. When I entered the cafeteria, I immediately noticed the atmosphere. People were whispering, not quietly enough. That's him? The guy Emma picked? I heard Carter challenged him. I don't know why Emma would choose someone like that. Someone like that. Those words again. The same words I had used against myself. I stopped walking for a second. Then I heard a familiar voice. Noah. I turned. Emma was standing there. She didn't care about the whispers. She didn't care about the looks. She just walked toward me. Like always. You're late. I smiled. Good morning to you too. She handed me a drink. My favorite one. You brought coffee again? Yes. You do realize people are watching? Yes. And? Emma looked around. Then back at me. Let them. I stared at her. Because that was the difference between Emma and me. I worried about what everyone thought. She only cared about what mattered. During lunch, Carter approached our table. The entire cafeteria became quiet. He looked at Emma first. Can we talk? Emma didn't move. We're talking now. Carter glanced at me. I mean privately. No, his expression changed. Emma. She looked at him. If you have something to say it here. That surprised everyone, including me, because Emma wasn't avoiding conflict. She was choosing a side. Carter looked frustrated. Fine. He turned toward me. Noah, I don't hate you. That's good. But I think you're making a mistake. I frowned. What mistake? Thinking this is real. The cafeteria became silent. Emma immediately stood. Carter. But I stopped her. It's okay. I looked at him. Why do you think it isn't? He crossed his arms. Because you and Emma live in completely different worlds. I didn't answer. Because I had thought the same thing. Many times. Carter continued. She's going to a top university. She has a future planned. She's going to meet thousands of people. A pause. And one day she'll realize she chose someone who doesn't fit. Before I could respond, Emma spoke. No, everyone looked at her. Her voice was calm, but certain. No. She looked directly at Carter. You're wrong. Emma walked beside me. Then she turned toward everyone in the cafeteria. I think people misunderstand something. Nobody moved. Everyone keeps asking why I chose Noah. She looked at me. But nobody asks why no one never chose himself. My heart stopped. Because she understood. She always understood. People think being successful means being better. Emma continued. They think popularity means someone matters more. She shook her head. It doesn't. Then she looked at me. Noah has spent years helping people without needing anyone to notice. He fixes things. He listens. He stays when everyone else leaves. Her voice became softer. And those things matter. Nobody spoke. Not even Carter. Emma looked around. I don't like Noah because he is the opposite of everyone else. A pause. I like him because he is exactly who he is. I didn't know what to say. Because Emma had never told me she liked me in a way everyone could hear. Not because she was embarrassed. Because she didn't need to prove anything. Until now. After lunch, I found her outside the classroom. Emma. She turned. Yes? You didn't have to do that. I know. Then why? She smiled. Because I wanted to. I laughed. You always say that. Because it's true. I looked at her. You know everyone is going to talk more now. Yes. People might still think we don't make sense. Yes. You're okay with that? Emma stepped closer. Noah. Yeah? I spent years being the person everyone expected me to be. She looked at me. I'm tired of that. For a moment, I didn't see the school beauty. I saw Emma. The girl who stayed in the library until midnight. The girl who saved a seat for me. The girl who walked toward me when everyone else walked away. That afternoon, we practiced for the spring festival. For the first time, I wasn't nervous. Not because everyone accepted me. They didn't. Not because Carter changed his mind. He didn't. But because Emma was beside me. And somehow, that was enough. The night before the festival, Emma sent me a message. Emma, are you ready? I smiled. Me, for the performance? A few seconds later, Emma, for everyone watching. I thought for a moment, then replied, me, I think I am. Her answer came quickly. Emma, good. Then another message appeared. Emma, because tomorrow, I want everyone to see something. I looked at the screen. Me, what? This time, she took longer. Finally, Emma, that the person everyone ignored Emma, was the person I was waiting for. The next evening was the spring festival. The entire school was there. The stage lights turned on. The crowd gathered. I stood backstage with my guitar. Then I heard something. A conversation behind me. Carter. And another student. He won't be able to handle this. Why? Because tonight everyone will see the difference between them. I looked toward the stage. Then toward Emma. She was waiting for me. And suddenly, I realized something. Tonight wasn't about proving I deserved Emma. It was about showing everyone that Emma had already made her choice. The Spring Festival was the biggest event of the year at Fairmont Academy. The entire school was there. Students, teachers, parents, everyone who mattered. And somehow, I was standing on the same stage as Emma Whitmore. A few months ago, I never would have imagined this. I was the guy who stayed behind the camera. The guy who fixed things when they broke. The guy who quietly left after helping everyone else. Now, hundreds of people were waiting to see me perform. And the person standing beside me was the girl everyone thought was impossible to reach. Backstage, I held my guitar tightly. My hands were shaking. Emma noticed immediately. You're nervous. I smiled. You really had to say that? Yes. Why? Because you're pretending you're not. I laughed. You really don't let anything go. No, she looked at me. Especially when it's something important. I looked toward the stage. I'm not worried about the performance. Emma tilted her head. Then what? I hesitated. The moment after. She understood immediately. The moment when everyone decides what they think? I nodded. Emma was quiet for a second. Then she stepped closer. Noah. Yeah? Look at me. I did. Do you remember what you told me in the library? I thought about it. When? The first night. I remembered. I had been exhausted. I told her I sometimes felt like I was invisible. Like no matter how hard I tried, nobody noticed. Emma smiled. You said you didn't think anyone was listening. I looked down. Yeah. She placed her hand over mine. You were wrong. The stage manager called our names. It was time. Emma walked onto the stage first. The crowd immediately reacted. Of course they did. Emma Whitmore always had that effect. Then I walked out. And for a second the entire place became quiet. Not because they hated me. Because they were surprised. The school beauty and the quiet music guy. Standing together. The music started. I played the first notes. And something strange happened. I stopped thinking. I stopped worrying. I stopped wondering if I belonged there. Because Emma was beside me. And she wasn't looking at the crowd. She was looking at me. Like she always did. When the performance ended, the applause was louder than I expected. I looked at Emma. She smiled. A real smile. The same one she had given me in the empty library. The same one nobody else saw. Until now. After the performance, we walked backstage. Everyone congratulated us. Teachers praised the music. Students took pictures. But then Carter appeared. I expected him to say something. Maybe criticize me. Maybe admit he was right. Instead, he just stood there, looking uncomfortable. Emma. She looked at him. Yes? He glanced at me, then back at her. I was wrong. That surprised both of us. Carter sighed. I thought you chose Noah because he was different. A pause. But I didn't understand why. Nobody spoke. Carter continued. You didn't choose him because he needed you. He looked at me. You chose him because he saw you. Emma didn't answer. But I could tell those words mattered. Because they were true. Later that night, after everyone left, Emma and I sat outside the school. The lights from the festival were still shining behind us. It's over. I smiled. The festival? She shook her head. No, she looked at the empty field. The part where everyone wondered. I looked at her. And now? She smiled. Now they know. I laughed. You realize people are going to talk about this for weeks. Yes. Maybe months. Yes. You don't care? Emma looked at me. No, why? Because for once, I'm not doing something because people expect me to. She paused. I'm doing it because I want to. I looked at her. Emma. Yes? Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you stay in the library that night? She smiled. We've talked about this. I know. Then why ask again? Because I still don't understand. Emma looked at the school building, then back at me. Because that night, everyone had already left. She smiled softly. But you were still there. I was asleep. Yes. That's your reason? Yes. I laughed. That makes no sense. It does to me. She continued. Everyone sees me when I'm winning. When I'm on stage. When I get awards. When I'm the person everyone expects. A pause. But you saw me when I wasn't any of those things. I looked at her. What do you mean? You never asked me to be perfect. Her voice became softer. You just sat with me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Emma said, You know what's funny? What? The first time I noticed you, you didn't notice me at all. I laughed. That sounds like me. Yes. She smiled. You were so busy helping everyone else that you never realized someone was helping you. A year later, people still remembered the spring festival. Not because of the performance. Not because of the music. Because it was the night the school beauty chose someone nobody expected. But the truth was simpler. Emma didn't choose me because I became special. I was already special to her. I just didn't know it. Years later, when someone asked me how I won over Emma Whitmore, I always laughed. Because I never won her over. She was the one who stayed beside me in the library. The one who saved me a seat. The one who waited when everyone else walked away. The girl everyone wanted to know chose the one person who never tried to impress her. Me. And the best part? She didn't choose me because I became someone else. She chose me because I was always Noah Parker. The guy who fell asleep in the library and woke up to find that the most amazing girl in school had been waiting beside him all along. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.